All right, well, we'll start right on time. My name is Lauren Bergman. I'm here with my colleague Emily Green. We're both financial aid counselors here in the financial aid office at George Fox, and we're excited to kind of give you guys a bunch of information as you prepare for starting here in the fall. So we'll get right into it and talk a little bit about some housekeeping first. We have a Q&A feature in this webinar, which you can use throughout the presentation. We'll also have some designated breaks where you can put in your Q&A. If you just go to the bottom of the screen, you'll see that Q&A and you can type your questions. We'll have other colleagues in the financial aid office behind the scenes answering questions, but again, we'll have breaks. We will also email these slides to all registered participants tomorrow, so don't worry about writing all of the links down or trying to click the URLs while we're presenting. We'll email those out. If you would like a Spanish version, we have those available upon request as well. Our goals for today are really to help you feel prepared for all the things you need to know as you start for the fall. We want to get you a clear picture of what you owe, connect you with scholarship resources, help you make a plan for payment, and also have you complete all of your to-dos by August 1st. Kind of a bigger breakdown of what this presentation looks like step by step. We're going to go over some things that if you went to a previous webinar, you may have already heard, talking about the FAFSA, professional judgments, and common FAFSA corrections, and then touching on scholarship resources and breaking down your financial aid award letter. And then the second half of our presentation gets into the nitty gritty of how to pay. So different ways to cover the gap if you have a gap, payment options through the Student Accounts Office, what FERPA and SAP are, and finally, wrapping it up with next steps and who to contact. So this is a very general overview of the financial aid year. You most likely have already filed your FAFSA and you all are deposited students, so you've completed those first two circles on the box. And now we're getting into really looking at your aid and determining what you want to accept, completing those to-do list items, and making a plan for payment. If you haven't already, if you're one of the few students that haven't, there are there's two forms that are available and you'll fill out one of them depending on your situation, the FAFSA and the ORSA. FAFSA is for citizen and eligible non-citizens, and the ORSA is for Oregon residents who are not citizens. Both of these need to be completed ASAP, and they are the requirements for most federal and state aid, and you'll need it to get a full financial aid package. If you're not sure if we have your FAFSA, then you can reach out to our office. Or if you don't plan on filing and you don't want any more of those pesky emails or texts, send us an email to finaid@georgefox.edu and we'll remove you from the reminder list. Some of you may also have been getting some communications about FAFSA corrections. So we've received your FAFSA, but there's a few things that you have to complete before it will process correctly. Some of the most common corrections need to be made is if a student or parent forgot to sign the form or skipped over that box. If a parent didn't agree to transfer their tax information from the IRS, which is a requirement, or if we noticed an unusual answer to the scholarships and grants question in 2023. The last one has been the most prominent. This is asking if you had scholarships and grants in excess of tuition so much that you had to report it as income on your 2023 taxes. Most students who have not been attending college in 2023, this will be zero, and the parent section would also be zero. So if you got that reminder to kind of double check that that answer is correct, you'll want to do that and correct that number. Or if you check your FAFSA and you say, yes, I did actually have scholarships and grants in 2023, this is a correct number, then you'll want to just email your counselor or finaid@georgefox.edu. Once you've made a correction, it takes 1 to 3 days to get to us. Students who were admitted back in the fall got their financial aid award notification starting in January. If you've been admitted since then, it's on a rolling basis. This letter will include all of your institutional, state, and federal aid if you've completed your FAFSA or ORSA. If you only have institutional aid, that may be an indicator that we don't have a FAFSA or ORSA on file for you. We try to make our financial aid packages as clear as possible. So in addition to your financial aid award, you were given an example award that helps break down each section, as well as a glossary and next steps. You can email finaid@georgefox.edu if you want that award letter resent, or if you're a parent and your student got sent the email and you haven't seen it, we can also send it to you directly through that as well. Another thing we like to note while we're talking about all of these things FAFSA related is professional judgments. The FAFSA for the 25-26 school year is looking at 2023 tax return information, and a lot can happen in a couple of years. So if you're in a situation where your financial picture as a family is different than it was in 2023, maybe there's been a loss of a job or a job change, maybe 2023 was inflated due to a retirement pullout or an inheritance, or maybe someone won the lottery. All of these things are things that we can adjust to help make the FAFSA be accurate to where your family is now. Note that students who already have a negative 1500 SAI, and you can see this either by logging into studentaid.gov or on your financial aid package, it'll be in the upper left-hand corner. You're already receiving the max aid available, so professional judgments wouldn't change anything. If you're unsure of whether your situation would qualify for a professional judgment, there's also some other situations like if you have multiple students in college in the same academic year, or if you have large private education expenses that are over 10% of your adjusted gross income. Those are some other situations we can do a professional judgment. Reach out to your counselor or email fidaid@georgefox.edu and we can help guide you through that. The big step here, though, is if you've completed your FAFSA or an ORSA, you've got your financial aid package, and now you just want to know your next steps. The first step you'll want to do is to accept or decline your Stafford loans. Pretty much all students who filed a FAFSA are offered Stafford loans, and the amount of Stafford loans offered to you is based on your dependency status and your grade level. The vast majority of you will fall in the dependent freshman category, which is 5,500 a year. The amount of subsidized loan you're offered is based on the need as calculated by the FAFSA. Students are eligible for 3,500, up to 3,500 of that to be subsidized. Some additional notes when you're deciding whether you want to accept or decline these, a lot of students worry, well, I don't want to accept them until right before classes start because I don't want to start accruing interest. All of these loans, once you accept them, they're kind of just waiting to disperse. They're in like a prep stage. There's no interest actually accrued, and the loan isn't actually originated yet. The first disbursement happens 10 days before classes start. So you can start accepting or declining your loans right away. Another thing to note, once you accept your loans, if you choose to accept your loans, there's going to be two checklist items that pop up that need to be completed. First is a entrance loan counseling, and the second is a master promissory note. Both of those forms are on studentaid.gov, which is the same website as where you did your FAFSA. But it's great to start thinking about if you want to accept or decline these and help student accounts and us have a better picture of what your gap will look like if you have one. Kind of got ahead of myself. So again, FAFSA corrections will pop up on your to-do list if we've noticed something wrong. That entrance loan counseling and a master promissory note will also pop up after you've accepted your first loan. This will only happen your freshman year, so or the first time you ever accept a Stafford loan. So you won't have to do entrance loan counseling every year. It's a one and done type of thing. If you've already done your master promissory note, we now are in the month of May, so hopefully those things will start popping up. But there was a little blip of time where students had completed it, but the Department of Ed hadn't notified us of which students had done it yet, so it was still on our to-do list. Hopefully that's been resolved. A good thing to note is just to check your My George Fox portal and your email every couple of weeks throughout the summer. We'll be sending out communications, and it's just good to be on top of things. And once you're an official student, you'll be wanting to check your George Fox email every day. So it's a good practice to get into. Some other important missing documents that also may be on your to-do list if you have to show us proof of being provisionally independent, or if the Social Security Administration didn't verify your citizenship status, we'll have some documents for you to complete. Or if you were selected, about 10 to 20% of students are selected for verification, you would have also been contacted about completing some verification documents. To check all of these things, you just log into your My George Fox portal and it'll be under tasks and to do. All right, so that was a lot of information that I just threw at you all. I'm sure there's some questions popping up. So feel free to use that Q&A feature and Emily and I will take some questions if anything pops up. When is the deadline to accept Stafford loans? This is a great idea thinking about scholarships. The deadline to accept Stafford loans, ideally, it'd be great if you would decide by July 15th, but the deadline, there really isn't a deadline. Another thing to note is if you decline the Stafford loans and then later on determine that you'd like them, we can always reoffer them to you and vice versa. If you accepted your loans and then you get a large scholarship and you no longer need to use those, we can cancel them off as well within the first couple weeks of classes.
I think this next question is asking about interest rate, if I'm guessing correctly. Right now, the interest rate for undergraduate Stafford loans is 6.5%, but that is going to potentially change for the 25 to 26 academic year. They are going to determine that interest rate this month or next month and make that announcement likely in June.
Someone asked if their son is a transfer student. They're getting offered right now 5,500. Shouldn't that be 6,500? The registrar office will be the ones that evaluate credits and determine what can be accepted to George Fox, and then they'll update our system to let us know what their actual new grade level is. So it may be that your son will be a sophomore, and we'll update that loan amount once the registrar finalizes his transfer credits. Is there a process to accept grants from George Fox? Great question. All scholarships and grants that you are offered, so Merit Scholarship, Visit Experience Scholarship, Oregon Opportunity Grant, Pell Grant, all free gift aid is automatically accepted on the student's behalf. We just assume that you'll want that aid. The things that you will need to accept are Stafford loans. That's about it.
Awesome. I know our team is working hard. We have a lot of questions in the queue right now. Maybe we'll do one or two more and then move ahead in the presentation. We do have a question about when to make your first payment. The answer is it depends, but for the most part, it's going to be August 15th. That is when payment is due for your fall semester, unless you are setting up a payment plan, which we're going to touch on later. Potentially that payment plan, first payment might be due on July 15th. But either way, for the majority of students, that first date is going to be August 15th, and then in January it's going to be 1 week before your spring classes start.
Lots of great questions. Glad we have our coworkers in the background helping. I think, Emily, will you bring us on?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Lauren. Once again, I'm Emily. I'm one of the financial aid counselors here, and that was some great information. We are actually going to start jumping into the scholarship side of things now. So this is a big topic, and hopefully we answer your questions. But jumping right in, we do not want you to miss this opportunity. This is something that's open right now. We have 10 donor-funded scholarships that are available to our incoming first-year students. Some of these have multiple awardees, so it's really more than those 10. Like I said, the application is open now and it closes on June 1st. There's no early bird deadline in there. It's not first come, first served. Once we have that application deadline and all the applications are in, we'll start reviewing those and make our determinations and announcements in June. Of these scholarships, there is a mix of some pretty specific or niche ones, and then some that are more broad-based. It's definitely worth submitting the application. And actually, as you go through your academic career and progress to sophomore, junior, senior, you're going to be eligible for more of these donor-funded scholarships as you go. So definitely apply this year. Even if you're not selected, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be eligible again in future years. So definitely keep your eye open for these. Yeah, and so for our group of continuing students, actually that scholarship pool opens up to about 200 scholarships, ranging from $5,000 to $15,000. So definitely be aware of these deadlines and continue to apply each year. We're also really excited to invite you to take a look through our scholarship resource folder. So this is new this year, which we put together some, as many materials as we could come up with to help you find scholarships and create your best application. We want you to be aggressive with your scholarship applications and cast a wide net. So one thing that we provided is a reusable scholarship template where you can gather your personal statements, your short essay questions, references, resume if you need it, etc. Put that all in one place, and then that's going to help you apply to many applications all at one time and stay on top of your deadlines, because you can copy, paste, and tweak instead of having to do applications over and over and over again, which I know is one of the most more discouraging parts of being in this process. So that template is hopefully going to be a big help and reusable throughout the years. We also have a scholarship tracker spreadsheet where you can keep note of which scholarships are still available, which ones you've applied for, what the dollar amounts are on those to see what you could potentially earn. So that is a great tool. And then we have a handful of flyers, which some of these may be out of date now, referencing some scholarships that have since closed for the spring, but we do have information about the OSAC application, which we'll touch on in a few minutes. Some scholarship databases that you can look into, some essay writing tips and tricks, and a lot of hopefully helpful information to get you going on those applications and feeling confident about what you're turning in. And then speaking of databases, we've included some of those here for you as well. We definitely want to make sure that we're providing you with specific scholarships to look for, but also knowing how to look for scholarships on your own. We want you to become really resourceful in this process so that you can go find more and more scholarships for yourself outside of what we can actually point you to. And with scholarship searching, it's a really good idea to start local because your odds are just better if you are in a smaller pool of applicants. So you can start by looking into local service clubs, churches, businesses, foundations, check in with your high school counselor because they're going to be a great resource for you as well, and know of any school scholarships that you can look into or hopefully local scholarships that you can look into. Our website also does have plenty of information about our institutional scholarships and external scholarships. If you go to the financial aid side of our school website. And then here are some regional and national databases for you to look into. Start with regional. National, like these are going to be your best resource right now when applications are starting to close up because these can point you to what is still open. Off the top of my head, some other ones that I know of also are scholarships.com, goingmerry.com, bold.org. Even a Google search will lend itself well to this process. Some of you may have been to our previous webinars and heard some of this information before. So the key takeaway is that even though there are some deadlines closing and approaching, it's not too late to start applying and you should be looking even throughout the summer when you have some free time outside of school. So stay aggressive. And then also just recognize that scholarship opportunities don't end now that you're exiting your senior year. You're going to have opportunities every year. So if you've come across a scholarship that's already closed, go ahead and make a note of it for next year, come back to it, reapply. And then even though some of those scholarships might be open to only seniors, a lot of them are going to be open to continuing college students as well. So don't be discouraged. Even if you don't add a whole lot right now, keep looking and keep applying each year. All right, and then we want to dive in really quickly to one specific scholarship that we recommend that the majority of our students are paying attention to. We want this on your radar. This is the OSAC State Scholarship, which is offered by Oregon's Office of Student Access and Completion. The OSAC State Scholarship is available for Oregon residents who are attending school in Oregon. They have over 600 scholarships that total, I think, over 10 million in awards. So a huge resource for students who are in Oregon. You can reapply each year. We strongly encourage you to do that. You do need to have completed either your FAFSA or your ORSA to apply for this scholarship. The standard timeline would be the scholarship opens on November 1st each year, and it closes on or around March 1st. We saw, I think it was March 3rd this year. They waited till that Monday right after the start of March. So the application is already closed now for the 25 to 26 school year, but definitely leave it on your calendar for next year. If you did apply, you should hear back about the results of that hopefully soon, likely in May or June. Not sure exactly when that's coming out though. We know that this is one of the more complicated and time-consuming applications out there. So we do have some specific OSAC resources available in that scholarship resource folder that we linked to earlier. And they do have a scholarship help guide on the OSAC website as well that can kind of walk you through which scholarships you should be putting your name in for once you've completed the application. So definitely make sure that you have that on your calendar and you're ready to go in November. Okay, once you've been notified that you've received an outside scholarship, first of all, congratulations. And next, you're going to need to make sure that you report that to us because we need to factor it into your financial aid package. And we're going to want to make sure that you get the most accurate statement possible in August and you know what that estimated remaining cost is going to be. So this needs to be factored in. To report an outside scholarship, you're going to log into your My George Fox account, enter the financial aid tile, not to be confused with financial account. They're right next to each other, but account is going to take you to statement and billing. Financial aid will take you to the scholarship page. And then report outside aid and just go ahead and enter the scholarship information there, submit it, and we'll receive that and add it to your financial aid package. That will also factor in even if we don't have the funds available to us yet. So go ahead and do that as soon as you know that you have a scholarship. If you've received a check or if an organization asks you where to mail the check, you can use this address here. Make sure that you include our office name, financial aid, and our PO Box 6068 so that that check doesn't accidentally go to the finance office or somewhere that it shouldn't go. It's got to get to us. And then also make sure that they include your name and your student ID on the check. Now, if they do send the check to you and they've made it out to you, the best practice is not to cash it directly. Instead, you'll want to endorse the back of the check and write "Make payable to George Fox," and then mail it to us or bring it to us in person. You can use the link in the corner of the screen there to watch a video tutorial, which has some more information about reporting your outside scholarships. So don't forget this step. Don't skip it. This is important. All right, a couple more quick general scholarship pointers. If you have received an OSAC state scholarship and you're notified of that, you don't need to report that one to us. OSAC notifies us directly. So once we hear from them, we will add that to your financial aid package for you. Also, in general, your scholarships are going to be split in half evenly between fall and spring. Any exceptions would depend on the scholarship organization, and usually they would notify us themselves if they wanted us to award it a little bit differently. So sometimes they want to see what your fall grades are before awarding it in spring, or they want it all to go to one semester. They would typically notify us of that. If there's ever a question about how much is supposed to be dispersed towards your account or when, please reach out to us and we will help you out. We may be able to contact that provider and figure it out with you. And then also sometimes there are third-party payments or other payment methods that can be confused with the scholarship, but it's not. So that would be, something like a VA benefits or a 529 plan. If you ever have a question about an outside fund and you're not sure if it's a scholarship or not, go ahead and contact us. We will help you out. We'll point you to student accounts if we have to, or we'll help you take care of it on our end. All right, awesome. We're going to bring Lauren back on here really quick to go over some more ways to fill the gap.
Great, thanks, Emily. So you filed your FAFSA, you've got your state and federal aid, and you're applying for scholarships, but you still have a gap. Here are some different options to consider when kind of navigating how to fill that gap. Work study will be listed on your financial aid award at the very bottom. It's not calculated in your bottom line because it is not dispersed like other forms of aid. It's more of a placeholder to state that you are eligible for the work study program because it's a need-based program, and you oftentimes this year you'll see 4,500 listed. That is a baseline anticipating students working 8 to 10 hours per week. Students can, of course, earn a little more or a little less than that based on their particular job. Work study funds are issued to you just like a regular job monthly by the HR department here at George Fox. You can use that check for any personal expenses, or if you are you get a contract with a work study job over the summer, you can work with the student accounts office to have a portion of your charges deferred and have your earnings from work study go straight to your student account that way. You will want to start applying for jobs this summer if you're interested in work study. Most jobs are being posted throughout the summer, so you might check June, check back in July, check back in August. A lot of different jobs are available on campus. When I was in school, I worked as a custodial assistant vacuuming the business building. I also worked as a cashier, food server in the cafeteria. I know friends who are in groundskeeping or at the library, so lots of different options. So definitely check out the Handshake website online. If you just Google work study or student employment George Fox, it'll pop up on the search bar and you can see the details on how to apply for a summer job or a school job during the school year. Another way to fill the gap are some additional loan options. If you are a dependent student and have parents who are willing to take out a loan in their name, the Department of Education offers the Parent Plus Loan program. This is a loan, again, in the parent's name on your behalf. They will apply through studentaid.gov, same website as the FAFSA. You can determine a specific loan amount or select max. If you select max, we will just fill in the rest of your cost of attendance budget with the amount that's available to fill in with a loan. There is an origination fee that comes out of that amount. So if you request a specific number and it matches exactly your charges, you may have a counselor reach out to you and just ask if you wanted us to adjust that so that it actually covers your full charges. The nice thing about the Parent Plus loan program is that it is pretty quick once you find out at the end of the application immediately if you're approved, and then within 3 to 5 days, George Fox is notified of your application, and we add that to your financial aid award. That application is open now, and if you know that you want to use that program, we suggest you get on that as soon as possible. Always great to start early. Best deadline, if you are a deadline-oriented person, is July 15th is when we would love to see those in by. We also have a video tutorial linked here on the slide if you want a more visual representation of how to go about that. Or there's also private loans. Maybe you're a student who doesn't have a parent or endorser, or you are a parent or student that has really great credit and thinks you can find a more competitive rate with a credit union or a bank that you already are working with. We recommend students go to elmselect.com. This gives a historical picture of all of the lenders that George Fox have students have used in the last 3 years. So it gives you a great snapshot. They're not recommendations per se, but just ability for you to see what other students have utilized. Private loans, the rates are based on your credit score and other history. So it's very flexible depending on the person. The application process does take a bit longer than the Parent Plus loan program, so 2 to 4 weeks on average. Again, best to apply by July 15th, but you can start applying now. So, getting into the nitty-gritty, I know a few people have already asked questions along these lines, so I'm finally happy to be able to be the bearer of the information. So, August 15th is the payment deadline for if you pay your gap all in a lump sum. The student accounts office is the ones that collect or add charges to accounts and collect payments. They will be sending every student and their parent a bill August 1st, and that will include all of the aid that you have been offered. And if you had already applied for a Parent Plus or a private loan, those will be factored into that bill as well. That's why we want you to get that done by July 15th so that you on that August 1st bill have everything very accurate for you. You can also do a combination though. You can do a monthly payment plan, also offered by the Student Accounts Office. They have a 4 or 5 month option, which just takes your out of pocket and splits it evenly between 4 or 5 months. So if you have $1,000, it'll be $200 a month for 5 months or $250 for 4 months. The 5 month payment plan starts July 15th, so a little earlier than the August 15th lump sum deadline, and the 4 month payment plan starts August 15th. There's no interest attached to any of that. They do charge a $150 setup fee per semester, or you can do one or the other, so just lump sum or just a monthly payment plan. Some students may have a 529 plan or a trust fund or VA benefits from a parent or themselves. Those are all run through the student accounts office. So if you have those payment methods that you're interested in using, connect with student accounts. Their website is here at the bottom, sa.georgefox.edu, but we'll also have everyone's contact information listed on one of the ending slides here. The Student Accounts Office also creates payment estimators for students and parents who want to kind of see a better bottom line earlier than August 1st. You can calculate your charges, enter in your aid, and really get a better picture of what your actual out of pocket costs would be. You can also, with this spreadsheet tool, plug in estimated amounts of hypotheticals of how much you would take out with a Parent Plus loan, or if you wanted to add what ifs with different scholarship amounts, you can add those in there. It'll take out the origination fees and everything so that you have a really good idea of how much you would want to request or how much you want to earn in scholarships. We've linked up the payment estimator tool here. If you don't want to wait until the slides are sent out overnight, you can go to the student accounts webpage, sa.georgefox.edu, and it's under their forms. You can also work with student accounts directly, and they can make one of these for you. I think over the summer, that's one of the main things that they do for incoming students is prep these payment estimator tools. So you can also reach out with them to help them guide you through that. And we're back for another Q&A.
All right, I marked one of these questions a little bit earlier in the presentation. So somebody asked if I don't have work study on my financial aid package, does that mean I won't be able to get a job? That is a great question. So there are some limited jobs on campus that don't require that eligibility to be on your financial aid package. Those jobs are in our spiritual life office and our campus store. Spiritual life because federal funds cannot be used for any religious-based work, and then our campus store is a third-party contractor, so outside of George Fox work study. So that does mean that there are fewer jobs for the students to apply to and compete for. You can apply for other jobs on campus, but most likely those jobs will go to students with the eligibility on their financial aid package, and they are given priority in the hiring process.
And just if you get work study, you don't have work study this year, it doesn't eliminate it for future years. It's totally based on the need as calculated by the FAFSA. And every year the FAFSA is looking at a different tax year. So it may be that you didn't meet the need requirements this year, but maybe you will in the future. And of course, non-work study jobs are also available around Newburgh.
Yeah, and I'll also add that just because you didn't get a job to start the fall, you can keep looking throughout the fall and into the winter because we have students who transfer out in the spring or go on a leave of absence or graduate in the winter term. So some of those can still open back up in the spring semester.
That's a really good point. Student or a parent asked, if I pay the one lump sum and then for whatever reason I leave school, do I get any sort of refund? The student accounts office has a policy. You can look this up. You could just Google payment refunds. Maybe I should put the link in there. But depending on when you withdraw from school, they have a policy on how much of your charges can be removed and how much. Um, there's also a financial aid side for the same thing. So it kind of just depends on when in the semester you fill out that withdrawal form. Um, but typically, if a student's considering withdrawing, we just suggest that you talk to student accounts and financial aid, and we can tell you what that means in your particular situation because it changes based on the day that you decide.
All right, couple more seconds in case anything trickles in. Our team has been working hard in answering most of these on the back end. But doesn't look like anything is popping up right now, so I will go ahead and move forward. We're actually reaching the end of our presentation, and we're going to jump into just some other things that we think are going to be helpful for you to know to navigate the financial aid process and make everything go smoothly as we get towards August. So first would be completing a FERPA release. This is very important. At this point in the year, we are fielding tons of questions from students and their parents, which is expected, especially if the parents are going to be paying or contributing in any way. But we're not going to be able to continue to freely offer information to parents or family members once a student starts classes with us. That is due to the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also known as FERPA. And essentially, once a student begins classes with us, their information is protected. So we will keep their account information private, and we can only discuss information with the student or with anyone for whom the student has completed a FERPA information release. Without that release, we will not be able to answer any of your questions about the student's account. So this includes information about charges, financial aid, class schedule, anything you can think of. Most of the time that is protected unless it's a very generalized question. So if a student does want their parents to be able to discuss their account with us or with other administrators here, they can complete two types of FERPA releases. The first would be a registrar FERPA release of information that allows administrators to discuss a student's class schedule, grades, and other academic information. And you can find that release on the registrar's website or in your My George Fox account under e-forms. The other type would be a financial FERPA release of information, which student accounts and financial aid use to be able to discuss the student's charges and financial aid with parents. There are two ways to give that financial FERPA permission, which is more relevant to us. So one would be if you are assigning a guarantor to your account via the student accounts payment selection form or the guarantor form. That's going to be assigned to you on your My George Fox to-do list. So you will see that in the coming months. I'm not sure exactly when that goes on. But then for anyone that you don't include on that form, you can follow the link that we have here on the slide to our website, and that has the financial FERPA release form on it. So just remember that this goes into effect as soon as students attend their first class at George Fox, and the student can revoke it at any time. All right, one more very important thing that we want just to make sure is on your radar and that you're aware of is early academic success or academic success throughout your career can determine whether you maintain eligibility for your financial aid. So almost all of your financial aid requires that you be meeting satisfactory academic progress, which we call SAP, to continue receiving your aid. And that's to ensure that the federal funding and the institutional funding is going towards a student who can graduate. So the main standards that you will need to meet are maintaining a cumulative 2.0 GPA and passing at least 67% of your credits attempted. And then if you fall below those cumulative standards in one semester, you'll go into a SAP warning status. When you're in warning, you can continue to receive your financial aid. But then if there's a second consecutive semester where you're below those cumulative SAP standards, you'll go into a revoke status and you'll lose eligibility for almost all of your aid. And the only exception would be your merit scholarship. That does not require you to meet SAP, only to be at full-time enrollment. But again, the majority of that aid is going to go away if you find yourself in revoke. So to make sure that you don't risk that, go ahead and be proactive about using all of your amazing resources on campus. We have tons of tools and people available to help you here between our academic resource center, our learning support services, peer tutors, career and academic planning center, disability and accessibility services, etc. So please take advantage of those as much as possible. We are all here on campus to help you through that. All right, and you've heard us talk about student accounts plenty at this point. We do work hand in hand with them on most things to settle a student's account, but we are two different offices with different roles. So we want to make sure you know who to contact. So you'll go to financial aid for questions about adjustments to your financial aid package, the FAFSA, student loans, including your Stafford Plus and private loans, scholarships and grants, verification forms. If you're selected for verification by the Department of Education, we would notify you of that. And then professional adjustments will go to the financial aid office. And then student accounts is going to be your best bet for questions about tuition, fees, charges on your account, the payment estimator that we showed you, payment plans, refunds, VA benefits, T98T forms, which are your tax forms that you'll need going into tax season, and then guarantors. Note that we do have alternate email addresses for our refund specialists and our veterans certifying officials. So if you have questions about those topics, please contact those people directly, those email addresses directly, because you'll reach staff who are the best equipped to help you with those. All right, and then we have some important dates for you to be aware of after you leave today, just to be on pace with our timeline. So things that you're going to want to do as soon as possible, if you haven't yet, are to do your FAFSA, very important, big first step, and you should do it ASAP if you haven't. And then accept or decline your aid, meeting your loans. Complete any checklist items that you have on your My George Fox to-do list. It's possible that those will be continue to be added throughout the summer, and we will notify you if that happens. But once you see something on there, you're going to want to take care of it just to make sure that there are no holds or anything that might make it not go smoothly in August when payment is due. By July 15th, you're going to want to have applied for any Parent Plus loans or private loans that you plan to use. And then by August 1st, make sure you're reporting your outside scholarships to us so we can get that factored into your statement. Also set up your payment plans by August 1st. Technically, you might want to look into that much earlier if you want to do the 5-month option. So I would say look into the payment plan option as early as June or the start of July if you want to utilize the 5-month payment plan option. As we mentioned, payment due date for the fall is August 15th. Your financial aid is always going to disperse 10 days before the start of your classes. And that this year you start on the 25th, so that lines up the same day as payment due date. And then refunds are going to be initiated on that first day of classes, so August 25th if you have your refund pending. It can take up to 10 business days to reach you. Typically, it will go much faster, and you will likely have that by the end of your first week of school if you set up direct deposit. Oh, my mouse was malfunctioning. Okay. And then lastly, we want you to have our contact info. Please reach out to us if you have any questions or need help with anything. You can contact our office. You all have financial aid counselors, and we go by last name for our populations. So Stephanie Sweet is a counselor for A through E last names. Lauren has F through K. I have L through Q. And Chantal Steele has R through Z. She's starting with us next week. So you may be speaking with another counselor if you're in that population over the next few weeks. But Chantal will be your full-time counselor. All of our contact info is on our website at fa.georgefox.edu. And you can schedule appointments with us over Zoom or the phone. You can drop in our office. And if you need to get in touch with student accounts, then you can find your specialist's name and contact info on their website. They also go by last name population. So you do have a student accounts team member assigned to you. And that, yeah, hopefully we've answered most of your questions today, but if not, please reach out to us and we'll help you out.
A few people asked if this will be recorded, and it will be. You'll get an email. In the same email, admissions will send out the slides that'll send a recording. But if you just have any question that pops up, feel free to email us. That's our job. We're here to help. Call us, Zoom, appointment us. We're happy to help. You don't have to sift through the recording either, unless you enjoy that. And yeah, just wanted to say that.
Somebody asked if we'll be here over the summer. The answer is yes, we work year round. So we will be available for meetings and help over the summer. You can stop by the office as well. We're only out on major national holidays. So yes, please feel free to come in over the summer.
And the student accounts office is also open over the summer. So if it's a specific payment related question, they're just right below us, one floor down. So you can visit us both.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we have reached the end of our presentation. Again, these slides will be emailed out, but we are going to stay on the call for a little while just to answer any last minute questions that come up. For anyone who's headed out, thank you so much for joining us today. And yes, you can expect these slides tomorrow, and you can always visit fa.georgefox.edu to reach out to us.
Have a great evening.